Welcome to ComCoding. Every week, we dig into the cybersecurity news and stories you're talking about, breaking down the complex stuff to help you stay informed and hopefully a bit safer online. And it looks like we have a lot to get through this week. We're seeing everything from, well, new malware hitting governments, huge data leaks affecting health and finance, and even a big tech company in court over Windows 10. Quite the mix.
It really is. And what ties a lot of these stories together, I think, is how interconnected everything is now. We'll look at new threat actors, vulnerabilities and devices we use every day, and the ongoing struggle to protect user data. It definitely paints a picture of, well, how vulnerable our digital lives can be.
Okay, let's jump right in. First up, those attacks on governments and critical infrastructure. There's news about a new group. Yeah, researchers are calling them curly COMrades, apparently deploying some brand new backdoor malware. What's the story here?
That's right. Bitdefender researchers spotted this. They're pointing towards Russia or Russia-aligned actors. And the malware itself, called MucorAgent, it's custom-built, a three-stage .NET tool.
.NET, okay, so designed to blend in a bit more on Windows systems.
Exactly. It's built for stealth. It runs PowerShell scripts, which are powerful on their own, but these are AES encrypted, so scrambled.
Hiding the malicious commands.
Right. And then it sends the output, the stolen data or results, back to a command and control server, the attacker's base.
So who are they hitting with this? What are the targets?
Well, so far the identified victims are government and judicial bodies in Georgia and also energy companies over in Moldova.
Interesting targets, geopolitically speaking.
Very. And the group's tactics are interesting, too. They rely heavily on curl.exe. That's a pretty standard tool for transferring data to pull info and communicate. And they hijack COM objects.
COM objects, remind me.
Component object model. Think of them as like standard building blocks within Windows software. By hijacking these, they can make legitimate parts of the system do malicious things, makes them way harder to detect.
Sneaky. And the link to known Russian groups.
There are no strong overlaps with known APTs, advanced persistent threats, but the targets and methods. They definitely align with Russian Federation interests, especially considering the history with places like Georgia. It smells like espionage.
And staying on that government theme, we also saw confirmation that the U.S. judiciary itself was targeted. Sensitive case files, apparently?
Yes, and this really raises the stakes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're talking about the systems that manage court cases. The judiciary confirmed escalated cyber attacks, called them sophisticated and persistent.
So what's the worry? A lot of court documents are public anyway.
True, but many aren't. Sealed documents, confidential information, proprietary business data involved in lawsuits. That's gold for certain actors. Think state-sponsored groups seeking intelligence, or even organized crime looking for leverage.
Right, the potential for misuse, even without changing the data itself.
Precisely. Blackmail, insider information. It undermines trust in the system.
And this isn't the first time, is it? We saw attacks back in 2020, ransomware hitting LA County courts more recently.
No, it's definitely part of an ongoing pattern, a continuous pressure. The judiciary is working with Congress, DOJ, Homeland Security to shore things up, but it shows these critical institutions are constantly under siege.
Is it just an arms race, or are there fundamental weaknesses?
It's probably a bit of both. It's a constant battle, yes, but legacy systems may be underfunding in some areas. Just the sheer complexity of it all. It creates vulnerabilities that attackers are always probing. It requires constant vigilance and investment.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit to data that hits closer to home for individuals. Healthcare data seems particularly vulnerable this week.
Oh, absolutely. There was this report from Modat researchers, and it's frankly quite alarming. They scanned the internet and found over 1.2 million healthcare devices.
A million? What kind of devices?
Not just computers. MRI machines, X-ray systems, blood work machines, all connected to the internet and critically misconfigured, leaking medical images, patient contact info.
Wow, so protected health information, PHI, and personally identifiable information, PII, just out there.
Yeah. In many cases, yes. Some were completely unlocked and no password. Others had incredibly weak, guessable passwords. We're talking default credentials sometimes.
That's staggering. What are the risks for people whose data might be on one of those million devices?
The risks are huge. Identity theft, obviously. Highly targeted phishing scams. Imagine getting an email that looks like it's from your doctor mentioning a real condition. Wire fraud. even blackmail.
Blackmail? How?
Imagine someone finding out about a sensitive medical condition, maybe even before you fully processed it yourself, and threatening to tell your employer or family unless you pay up.
That's absolutely terrifying.
It is. Or impersonating a clinic to trick you into installing malware. The psychological impact could be severe.
Where are most of these devices located? Is it a global problem?
It's global, but the U.S. has the lion's share. Over 174,000 found there. Then South Africa, Australia, Brazil, Germany following behind.
So what does this tell us about healthcare security culture?
It suggests, well, maybe a gap, a need for a more proactive security posture. Healthcare rightly focuses on patient care, but that needs to extend to securing all connected devices, not just the traditional IT stuff. Comprehensive asset visibility, vulnerability management, it's critical.
It sounds like a massive blind spot.
It really does seem to be.
And the data leaks continue. Columbia University confirmed a huge breach, too.
Yeah, another big one, affecting nearly 870,000 people, students, employees, applicants, even family members. This happened back in May 2025.
And what kind of data was taken there?
A lot. 460 gigabytes worth. Names, birth dates, social security numbers, contact info, academic records, financial aid details, plus any insurance or health info shared directly with the university.
So pretty much everything needed for identity theft.
Pretty much. They did say patient records from their medical center weren't involved, which is some relief, but the stolen data is still incredibly sensitive. That mix of academic, financial, and personal ID info is very valuable to criminals.
Columbia is offering the standard 2 years of credit monitoring. But if you, listening, find yourself in a breach like this, what should you actually do?
Beyond signing up for the monitoring, which you should do, the key is vigilance, extreme vigilance. Assume criminals will use that data.
So scrutinize emails, calls.
Absolutely. Be incredibly wary of any unsolicited contact, especially if it claims to be from Columbia or banks or anyone really, and mentions the breach or threatens you. Don't click links. Don't give info.
What's the best approach then?
Stop. Just stop the communication. Then go find the official website or phone number for the organization yourself through a trusted source like a search engine or a previous bill and contact them directly to verify whatever the message was about.
Good advice. Change passwords too, presumably.
Definitely. Especially if you reuse passwords, which you shouldn't, but many people do. Change passwords on any related accounts.
Okay. And there was also a financial one, Connex Credit Union.
That's right. Smaller scale, but still significant, around 172,000 customers affected. Names, account numbers, debit card info, social security numbers, other IDs, the usual sensitive stuff.
Did they access accounts directly?
The credit union says they don't believe accounts or funds were directly accessed. But again, that stolen data is prime material for fraud, creating fake accounts, wire fraud attempts, tax scams, spear phishing.
And I saw something about a law firm investigating.
Yes, looking into whether Connex took too long to notify customers, which just adds another layer of pressure for breached organizations. For you, the listener, again, it means keeping a very close eye on bank statements, credit reports, and being suspicious of unexpected calls or emails about your finances.
It really feels relentless.
Yeah.
Which brings us to patching. You mentioned earlier that organizations are still struggling with basics, like patching Microsoft Exchange.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking, honestly. Microsoft flagged and patched a pretty serious flaw in hybrid Exchange setups back in early August 2025. High severity.
Hybrid meaning part on-premise, part cloud.
Exactly. And the Shadow Server Foundation, which scans the internet for vulnerable systems, found almost 30,000 instances still unpatched and exposed online weeks later.
30,000? Wow. And what does this bug allow?
It's an improper authentication bug. Essentially, an attacker who already has admin access to the local on-premise Exchange server could use this flaw to escalate their privileges into the connected Exchange Online environment.
So jump from the local server into the cloud email system.
Precisely. And potentially without leaving obvious tracks. It's like having a key to the back door that also unlocks the main vault, a critical oversight for those 30,000 organizations.
Is this just down to busy sysadmins, or is it a bigger issue? Lack of resources, management not getting the risk?
It's likely a mix of all those things. Admins are often stretched thin, yes. Patching complex systems can be daunting, risky even, if it might cause downtime. But fundamentally, this scale suggests it's often not prioritized enough at a higher level.
Until a breach happens.
Until a breach happens. Then the cost far outweighs the patching effort. It really needs that top-down commitment and investment in resources and process.
And it's not just server software. Hardware needs patching too, like those CCTV cameras you mentioned.
Absolutely. Bitdefender found 2 critical flaws in 126 different models of Dahua smart cameras. Dahua is a big manufacturer.
Critical flaws meaning?
Serious trouble. These are buffer overflows. An attacker doesn't even need login details. They're unauthenticated flaws. They allow someone to take complete control of the camera.
Full control, like view the feed, turn it off.
Even more. Gain root access. That's the highest level of control. They could install their own malicious software persistently on the camera itself. Imagine turning a security camera into a spy tool or an entry point into the network.
Especially if it's connected directly to the internet.
Exactly. That's the major risk. Dahua is urging everyone to update the firmware immediately. If you can't update for some reason, get those cameras off the public internet. Isolate them on a separate network segment.
Another reminder that everything connected needs security attention. Okay, finally, let's touch on that Microsoft lawsuit over Windows 10. That seemed interesting.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating situation. A California resident is suing Microsoft. The core claim is that Microsoft is ending support for Windows 10 too soon. October 2025 is the current cutoff.
Too soon based on what?
Based on usage, mainly. The lawsuit points out that as of July 2025, something like 43% of Windows users were still on Windows 10. That's a huge number.
43%, that is massive.
It is. And here's the kicker. The suit claims around 240 million devices currently running Windows 10 don't meet the hardware requirements for Windows 11.
So they can't easily upgrade even if they wanted to.
Exactly, which raises huge concerns about e-waste. Millions of perfectly functional computers potentially becoming insecure and obsolete because of the software support decision.
The lawsuit also mentioned Microsoft's push for Windows 11 and Copilot Plus PCs.
Yes, it frames that push as, well, maybe a bit cynical. A tactic to force users into buying new hardware whether they need it or not by ending support for the older OS.
So what does the person suing actually want?
They're asking for injunctive relief, basically asking the court to force Microsoft to keep providing free security updates for Windows 10 until the user base drops significantly, maybe down to 10% or so.
Has Microsoft offered anything?
They did offer a concession, 1 free year of extended support until October 2026, but only if users sync certain PC settings to OneDrive. The lawsuit argues that's not enough.
So this puts Microsoft in a tricky spot.
Definitely. It raises big questions about how long companies should support products, especially operating systems that underpin so much. What are reasonable consumer expectations? What about environmental impact?
Could this actually change things? Force Microsoft's hand?
It's hard to say how the court will rule, but the public pressure alone might lead to further concessions. And it could set a precedent, making other tech companies think harder about their own end-of-life policies. It'll be really interesting to watch.
Okay, so as we wrap up this week's coding, it's clear the cybersecurity landscape is, well, it's intense. We've gone from state-sponsored attacks to millions of exposed medical devices to basic patching failures and even fundamental questions about software life cycles.
Absolutely. And the common thread really is this deep interconnectedness and, frankly, fragility. From governments down to individuals, the threats are varied, they're persistent. What stands out from all this, I think, is the need for constant vigilance and a proactive stance.
For both companies and individuals?
Yes. Patching systems promptly, organizations understanding their full attack surface, including those medical or CCTV devices. For individuals, questioning communications, being aware of what data you're sharing, that critical thinking is just so essential now.
And that leads us to our final thought for you this week. Considering everything we've discussed, these huge attacks, massive data leaks, vulnerable devices, how much responsibility really falls on you, the individual user, to keep yourself safe? Versus how much should fall on the companies making the software, the hardware, the services we all rely on every single day? It's a tough balance, right? Where does corporate responsibility end and personal diligence begin in this hyper-connected world? Something to think about. That's all for coding this week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more cybersecurity news and analysis. Stay safe out there.